Ramirez, your host of Stand Out and Grow. I want to help your business stand out, survive, succeed, and grow. Building your business is really, really hard. And knowing what marketing and advertising tools you need to help you become successful is extremely confusing. After 30 years of working with thousands of businesses, I am here to help you make good business decisions. I want to help you understand the programs that are available to you so that you can stand out, survive, succeed, and grow. So let's get started. Hello, hello, hello. I think that, we'll use these graphics today. Hey, it's Kat Ramirez. I am CEO and founder of adBidtise. We are a small boutique ad agency with affordable advertising options, as well as hashtag social buzz, where we offer $99 a month for social media content delivered 5 days a week. So if this is your first time catching my live show, thank you. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. And I hope my sound and everything is coming across pretty well. Oops. Just trying to make sure I'm still live. Okay. If you read the notes, so this topic I feel like is needed because I was a part of a kind of a small business forum where we had a conversation, and some of the conversation was about getting back to work and how do you slowly progress in getting your employees slowly migrating back to work. And in that conversation, so I was exposed to a lot of questions and a lot of concerns. And I think for a small business owner, this is a really, really tough thing to contend with right now. And I want to talk about some of the things that we discussed and some of the things that are out there. But if you're an employee, and especially if you're an employee of a small business, this is great information for you to hear and understand from me as a business owner's perspective. And so that's why I thought this is really important to share and really communicate today. So if you are watching, let me know where you're tuning in from by leaving a comment. And if you're watching the rebroadcast, just tell me rebroadcast and let me know where you're watching from. And if you have any questions or if you want to do any shout outs in regards to this conversation, please leave a comment. And if there's someone that you know that can benefit from this conversation, tag them so that they have access to this video. This is what social media is all about. It's about sharing and tagging and connecting all of us together. Okay. So some of the things that I wrote on the post to prime us for this conversation was, are you returning back to work? Are you asking your employees to return back to work? Do you have any questions if your employer is actually protecting you or has some things in place to protect you? What are some of the things that you personally can do to keep yourself safe? And then what are some of the things that your employer should do to assure your confidence? Because at the end of the day, it's the employer's job to assure your confidence that they're doing everything that they can, that you're going to be safe in the workplace. And then, here's a big question is, does the thought of going back to work just mortifies you? It just makes you petrified. Does it make you anxious? Because that's a concern too. And, that's something that people need to deal with and talk about and share that with somebody, and then, what are other options of not going back to work? What are some other options? And we'll talk about that. And so, again, me as a small business owner, these are things that I have to contend with. These are questions and things that I deal with my team. And I want to share some of this with you because maybe you're in this situation. Maybe you've decided to open your office at a certain date moving forward. And then these things are kind of going to really help you decide on some things that you need to do, or maybe help you understand that you've got to put a plan in place. And then also you got to communicate. Communication with your team is probably one of the biggest things that as a business owner or as an employer you have to do is communicate with your team and your employees and whoever it is that you're asking to come back to the office. Okay. I took a lot of notes because I really do have to keep on top of this stuff because, again, for my own sake, because I have a team and, we're all remote and, I have team meetings every week with my team and we talk about various things. And one of the things that we talk about is the probability of going back to an office, or if they want to. And I will share with you that they don't. They absolutely do not want to go back to an office. And I'm doing everything that I can to accommodate that because that's what I want to do. I love the team that I have. They're I'm so proud of them. They're very productive. And I want to make sure that they have peace of mind and they feel comfortable and they stay with me. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that they can work remotely, because that's their choice. That's what they want. And I'm okay with that, and maybe a year from now we'll change our mind and what have you. But until then, that's what we're doing. And I can share some of the things that I'm using the tools to work efficiently remotely. Okay. Because I have about 15 members on my team and we're all remote. Okay. So let's do some shout outs of people who have joined me. And again, I'm so very thankful that you take time out of your day to join me and hear the topics and conversations that I have for you so that you can stand out and grow and really just, be on top of your game and get ahead of the curve. So Steve Foster, thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in, Steve. I appreciate it. Greg Scallion, thank you so much, Greg. I appreciate it. And Shabab, thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really do appreciate it. And again, if you guys have any questions, drop a line. Happy to answer them as we move forward with this conversation. I'm just trying to talk and write at the same time. Okay, so I did my little one thing. Okay, so let me go through. So in my research, so first off, this conversation with the small business owners, and there was about 10 of us that were in this forum, and the discussion was, a lot of these small businesses were back to work, and all of them had team members. Some of them were working remotely before, some not. And, this is where it makes it a little challenging because some people have to go back to work because that's the function of their business. So whether it's manufacturing or whether it is some kind of design kind of company where you have to be at the office to do this function. So sometimes there's no other option. So it's accommodating those employees for those situations. So just keep that in mind. So, and then there's businesses that can accommodate working from home, and that's a luxury. It is a luxury, and if you're in that predicament, that is awesome. That is completely and utterly awesome. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that you can do to assure your employees' confidence in you and keep your environment safe. And then I just have to do, Jason did a shout out. Thank you, Jason, for watching. He says, does content include only images or articles to Jason, we're talking about going back to work. I can address that. I'll get back to you on that, Jason. I appreciate it. I love it. He's asking me about social media. I love it. No worries, Jason. I will get back to you on that. Okay. So, some things that I wrote down and did some research on if we were to go back to the office was to make sure, first and foremost, if you're an employee, make sure that your employer has a plan, has a strategy in place, that they're going to have these protocols to keep all the public areas clean and safe. So let's say, for instance, that one of their strategies plan is to have a cleaning company come and clean out the office every day. Like, they come and wash down all the desks and all the public areas that you can possibly touch. That's one strategy. So it's having that employee getting the affirmation from their employer is, what is the strategy? What are you doing to keep our environment safe? So I know when I come in the office that I'm going to be safe. Okay. Another thing is, if you were a commuter, you need to find a different way to transport yourself. I would not highly recommend, the ride shares and the commute rides. I would protect yourself and try to find another way to get to the office. Okay, so that's on you. That's totally on you. Okay, so the other thing I put down was, there should be, from your employer and from the team, from the organization, there should be protocols in place for social distancing at work. What does that mean? Well, we all know we have to have that 6 feet distance rule. So making sure that you're 6 feet away from any other person in the office. And so for really, really busy offices, there are going to be some strategies and plans that people will have to put in place. And I gave an example, or I wrote down some examples, like making sure, just like with kids in school, making sure everybody's wearing a mask at the office. Some people may want to wear the plastic shield on their face. That's fine too. Encouraging those types of things at the office, or even providing your employees with those things at the office, so they have those. And then the other thing too is maybe asking, if you're an employee, asking your employer, if you're in cubicles, to have plexiglass between the cubicles, or make sure that we move people. Maybe everybody was on top of everybody, and now we separate people, one cubicle and skip a cubicle, not a cubicle. So things like that, that you can ask your employer if they could accommodate, so that you feel safer when you're at the office. If it is a larger facility, some other things that you can do are, you can have people come in at different time blocks. So they don't come in for the full day, because they do have to come in, let's say hypothetically, they have to come in a little bit every day. So let's say they come in blocks. So, you call them, break them up into team A, B, and C. A comes in from, 8 to, let's say, 11. And then B comes from 11 to, let's say, 2. And then C comes in from 2 to 5, things like that. So you can break it up so that people are like not all at the office at the same time. So that is an opportunity as well. And then other things that you can do are, of course, if you are working in a very trafficky area, meaning like downtown or high buildings and things like that, it's just try to stay off of the elevator. If you're on anything above like maybe 20 floors, that's probably going to be really hard, because I don't think you want to do 24 flights of stairs every day. Although I will tell you that is really good exercise, and I would highly encourage that. Okay. So if you do the stairs, that's great exercise for you. So keep that in mind if you do decide to do that. But keep in mind, stay out of the busy elevators. That's not a good choice or option. And don't be touching everything in the elevator. Okay. Just, keep your hands to yourself. The other good practice that you can do, and this is you yourself, is when you get to your desk, wipe everything down. You know, make sure that your employer has some sort of, I know the Lysol wipes are probably gone by now, but have some kind of, even if they have the spray and you have the dry, paper towels, have something where you can wipe everything down before you start your day, and then when you're at the end of the day, so that it is super clean, and you're assured your own confidence that maybe someone touched it after you left the office. Then you wiped everything down so that you feel comfortable and confident that it's safe. Okay. So that's something that you personally can do to assure your own confidence. Okay. The other thing is so this is a big one. So the break areas, any public areas, any common place, I personally would avoid those. I would completely and utterly avoid them. If you need to take a break, if you need a common area, go outside. Go somewhere where you know it's safe and you don't have to worry about someone touching something and it's a public area. Okay. So that would be my suggestion to you, is highly recommend avoiding any public areas. I know that I have a friend and have a conference room, and I think the rule there was only one person can be in that conference room at a time, and they had to time block it. So things like that you can work out to work with the other employees so that there's standardization and everybody feels comfortable and confident. Nobody's like stepping on top of each other. Okay. If you created your own mask, if you have a mask that is by material, you've got to make sure that every day after work that you're washing that. So don't wear the same mask every day because you're more in a public area. So you want to make sure that you keep the things that you put on you safe and clean. And so, when you're out being exposed to all these elements and environments, assume that mask is no longer a clean mask and just throw it in a wash as soon as you get home, or throw it in your laundry basket or wherever you're going to throw it. Okay. I would highly recommend that. So hopefully you have a mask for every day, 5 masks, and you're able to utilize a different mask every day. Okay. And then other things that you can do is, your employer should really have conversations with you and your team members and really talk about what are the protocols, what are you doing? And when I say have meetings and stuff, of course, they're going to be by Zoom. So whether prior to you coming into the office and having a Zoom team meeting so that everybody knows what the protocols are and everybody's on the same page and everybody is going to assure everybody else's assurance of being safe, as opposed to just, saying, hey, we're back in the office and, we're going to see you at 9 a.m. on Tuesday. Well, there should be some kind of dialogue or something talking about the new protocols and what the employer has in place so that everybody feels safe and confident. Nobody wants to feel uncomfortable. Nobody. Okay. So, so those are a few things. I have some more because I actually went on the CDC site to see what it suggested for small businesses. But some other things before I go on that one and talk about that is, you also want to speak to, because this came up in our forum, you want to speak to your employer. If after you hear the protocols and after you hear, what your employer is doing to make you feel safe, if after all of that, you are still very, very anxious and you still feel, nervous about going to the office. And there are people that feel absolutely anxious and nervous about being in public, and it's normal and it's natural and it's okay. Nobody should ever tell you that that's not okay. It's okay. It is totally okay. Then you need to have those conversations with your employer, because the alternative to all the things I just told you is to allow your employees to work from home, and especially if that opportunity is available because they're in some kind of admin role and they can work from home. So that would be the ultimate ideal situation and thing you do want to offer your employees, especially if they're valuable to you and you appreciate them, especially. So, keep that in mind, because that to me would be the first choice. That would be the ultimate thing. And that should be the first thing that you decide, or when you as an employer and you're talking to your management team or you're talking to your mentors or whoever you're talking to, of, what's going to be my protocol and strategy for getting people back in the office. And if working from home is not your first option, or you don't think about it, my suggestion is think about it, because you want people to feel comfortable and confident. You've got to. See, everybody has their different degrees of anxiety, and we should not question that. We absolutely should not question that. And that should not be a detriment of them working there, or, feeling bad about speaking to you about that. That's the other thing. You've got to make it comfortable for your employees to want to speak candidly and openly to you. You have to. You cannot make them feel like they can't talk to you about their concerns and their fears, knowing that they won't get a raise, or they're not going to get that promotion, or they're not going to get that next opportunity, or that they potentially could be fired. Okay, so just keep that in mind, because we want to make sure that people do feel safe. And to me, that's first and foremost, is you have to keep people's safety in mind. Okay, so let's talk about some of the CDC things that the CDC has published on their website that everybody should be looking at. And I know everybody has, so that we stay up to date on some things that the CDC is recommending. And they have a lot of great suggestions. When I went through it, it's not more than a page, just so you know. So the reading is really quick and the words are really big. So it is a really big, quick. So the CDC recommends, just like I stated, is if you have the opportunity to allow your employees to work from home, that would be the first alternative, is to allow your employees to work from home. Okay. They also talk about people showing signs of that they have COVID. And if people are showing signs, those people should immediately be released to go home so that they can get tested. So if they show any signs, rather than, compromising your team, your environment, the office, whatever, just send them home. Just send them home and let them get tested and quarantine them for the 14 days until they have a negative result. And it's just a safe thing to do. And so that's what the CDC is suggesting. Okay. The other thing too is you can't see, the CDC is saying you can't punitive your employees if they do have signs of symptoms, or if their family may have engagement with somebody who had signs. So you cannot penalize someone because of that. You have to allow them to have their quarantine and protect everybody else in your environment. So keep that in mind, because I guess at the end of the day, what the CDC is trying to say is, don't bully your employees. Don't make them feel bad if they suspect they might have it. They're just being overly cautious. So do not make your employees feel bad. That's not the thing you want to do. Do not. Please don't do that. Okay. Some other things the CDC is suggesting is having a plan, just like I said, establishing some formalities and protocols that if you feel like you're sick, that people know what the protocol is, whether you're there and they report you. Like, it should be get up immediately, leave the office, call somebody after you get home, so there should be protocols in place that if you do feel sick or you think you are, okay. And then other things it talked about is the CDC was really, really high on symptoms and saying, if your employee has an ounce of suspicion that they're sick, or if they have a scratchy throat or anything, that to keep them home, keep them home, keep them home. That was the most thing that I got over and over from the CDC website. It also talked about, talking to your employees and making sure there's an open line of communication, keeping your facility clean. So a lot of the same things that I already went over, making sure that if people are traveling, that they are quarantining themselves, especially if they're in the high populated areas of high COVID. So just making sure they're very open about that and discussing that with you, and making sure they're quarantining themselves. Okay. And then the other thing it recommended was, a big thing you can do is provide as much literature and information to your employees to assure their confidence. There's so much information on the CDC website. They just need assurance, because you're hearing so much noise on social media and everywhere else that a lot of people are making assumptions or hearing fake news, and they're thinking, oh, I can't go back, or if I do this, then I'm going to get this, or, there's so much out there. So you as an employer, you just need to come up with your own brochures, your own information, so that you can distribute to your team. Make sure that it is compliance with the CDC. Make sure it's saying the same thing CDC says. I think there was a lot of downloadable information on the CDC website that you can pass on to your employees, because at the end of the day, here's the reality. I just want to feel safe, right? As an employer, I want to feel safe. I do. And if I went to like an office space, I would go give them the drill. What are you going to do to make me feel safe? What are you going to do to make my team feel safe? So if I had an office space, I would question them and I would ask, okay? And then my employees, if I was an employee, I would question my boss, and I would question the facility they were in. So I'm just saying, you should protect yourself. You should understand what are the circumstances around you, and what can you do and what can't you do. And at the end of the day, here's the ultimate thing. Communication is key. It is so vital that you communicate whatever direction you're going to take your office and your employees, whatever. You need to communicate this. And then you can't prosecute people because they are going to share their anxieties with you. You can't penalize them. You can't do these things. You have to be human, and you have to understand that everybody has a different level, degree of anxiety. Everybody does. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different families. We all have different lifestyles. We don't know if Jenny over here has her grandmother living with her, or we don't know that Tom over here, little girl, has asthma. We don't know any of these circumstances. So we have to really treat this delicately, and we have to understand the dynamics, and then we have to accommodate this. And so the only way to accommodate it is to have a conversation. And again, per the CDC, per everything that I read, the first option should be work from home. That should be the first, okay? That should be the first. And then if that's not available, then working out ways to make your employees feel very safe at the office and to assure everybody's confidence. You have to assure their confidence. They're not going to be comfortable coming in the office if you don't assure their confidence. Everybody just wants to be safe, right? Because we don't know their exterior circumstances with their families and what have you. Okay. So I have made my choice to stay and work from home. It feels a little isolated, but I do have my team meetings. We have our team meetings on Skype. I love Skype. Every time I tell people we're using Skype, they're like, Skype? Why are you using Skype? Because I'm tired of using Zoom. I use Zoom all the time. When we have training sessions, though, I do use Zoom because I record those. And so for other members who aren't able to join in those training sessions, we do use Zoom because I do want to record those. But everything else, We're communicating every day on Skype. We can instant message. We can call each other just like we were in the office together, you know? So you just need to have open lines of communication. So if you're going to do the remote thing, you need to put some processes in place. You need to work on some SOPs, standard operating procedures now that are changed and revamped for working from home. And you also want to find channels of communication so that everybody can communicate. And you as an employer don't feel like, I don't know what my team's doing. Because here's the thing, if you're a micromanager, it's going to eat you alive to be sitting at your desk like right here and like, I wonder what John's doing. I wonder if he's working. Let me call him. Or I wonder if Betty got that and she's working. Like, you don't want any of that. And that's why I made some investments as a result of this pandemic. I made a few investments. And so my investments are to invest in Zoom, invest in Skype, invest in a client portal so that we can communicate and we can put all of our documents there. So we have total big lines of communication ongoing all the time. And I no longer have to email. I don't have this flood of emails too, which I love. And I no longer have to feel like I have to ask, hey, John, where are we with that? Hey, where are we with this? Hey, where are we with this? You know how you get, I'm sorry, some of you guys can sympathize with this. You know how you get from a manager or your boss or something, 10 different emails, boom, 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 every one of them with a different question. And you're like, can't you just send me one email? Just one. And, I've been there. I know that. And I've also I've done it. I've done that. And I don't do that anymore. Not with Skype. Now I just Skype them 10 times. So, open channels of communication. That's key. That's the key to the success. Okay. So whether you choose to have your team work in an office, that's okay. Just make sure you have some protocols in place. Or whether you have your clients stay remote, that's okay too. Okay. The thing is, if you require your team to work at the office, you've got to have these protocols and you've had to prepare your team. And you need to make sure that they feel good and comfortable about it, that they feel assured, okay? And then if you're okay with people working remotely, then just make sure that you have all these communication channels so that they can all talk together. It's not that hard. And maybe it is. I don't know. I don't want anybody to feel bad. But if you have any questions about it, like I said, I have invested in a lot of different softwares and programs so that I have so many lines of communication with my team, with my clients, and it's a win-win for everyone. They feel safe. I feel safe. I mean, even all the new client meetings we have, it's all through Zoom. So, we're just protecting ourselves and making sure that we get past this, I'm hoping that we shorten this length of this pandemic, we get past it, and we go back to same old from March. It's already August 20th, and we're talking about this has been happening since March. Okay, I am done. Let me do some shout outs to people who have joined us. And thank you so much. Joe, thank you so much for joining. She says, I'm so blessed to be a government employee. I have the flexibility for maximum telework. That's awesome. And I think that's wonderful that your employer has allowed you to do that, because it is such a great thing to do for your employees. It is such a great thing. Joe, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Michael says, great rundown. Thank you, Michael. I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Stephen says he will be returning after a 24-day quarantine. Where did you go, Stephen? I'm curious. Where did you go that you're in quarantine? Joe says, great advice and information. Well done. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. And then Angelica says, exactly. Communication is key in taking care of each other. Absolutely. That's the only way we're going to get past this. And we have to make sure people feel safe and comfortable. regardless. Andre says, hey, Kat. Hey, Andre, how are you? And I know, Andre, your team works remotely, and I think that's a privilege, and that's awesome. And there's a lot of companies that this is not even phasing because they always worked from home. They always worked remotely or what have you. But there's a lot of companies that have been disrupted and they've never done this. And we are one of them, but we're adapting and we're accommodating. Yay! Okay, so I am done, and I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching. And again, if there is someone who can benefit from this, please tag them so that this comes up in their feed and they have the opportunity to hear all this wonderful information that I shared with you. Until next time, thank you again for watching, and you got this, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Stand Out and Grow. Check out all the notes and links at www.standoutandgrow.com. I am so thankful to you for helping this show continue to grow. I want to keep producing content that you want to hear, so please leave me some feedback. I look forward to bringing you more resources and information to help your business stand out and grow. Please follow us on social media and make sure you follow this podcast so you can learn more about helping your business stand out, survive, succeed, and grow. Until next time, you got this.
adBidtise helps businesses stand out and grow with affordable advertising options. We will help you make good business decisions so you can save money and not just throw it against the wall to see if it sticks. Get your free strategic advertising analysis today so you can see the opportunities to stand out and grow your business. Visit www.standoutandgrow.com offers page to learn more.